What is going on, kings and queens of this wonderful wonderland that we call YouTube? And as you can see, we're doing something a little bit different today. Instead of me blabbing about things in front of you, in front of the camera, I am becoming a disembodied voice in your head. No, actually what we're doing today is something that I've been planning on doing for quite a long time, and that is to show off my video game collection and kind of go over my office space or the space where I make videos. I talk about me being a video game collector quite a bit, so I figured, hey, I've got some time. What the heck? It's something different, something we've never done before. So, hey. That being said, let me just say a couple more things before we get into the actual going through this piece by piece. First off, I think I'm going to do the video in two different parts, that being because my collection and things are actually in two different areas. This is the upstairs collection, and downstairs where I do the bulk of my recording and play video games actively is downstairs. But this is just kind of this used to be my room when I was younger, and now it's just kind of my storage area. So I figured in this video we'll tackle the pieces upstairs, and in part 2 we will of course do the downstairs. The second thing I want to add to this is just say that I have not been collecting all that long. I've only been collecting probably 3 or 4 years, and basically the reason why I started collecting was that, a couple of reasons, the main one being that I love video games. The second one being that I was actually able to, now that I've gotten older, because see, as a kid, because there were so many small children, like cousins and stuff, that were coming up into gaming and stuff, I wasn't allowed to have more than one system at a time, so if I got a new one, I'd have to give my old one away, which kind of sucked for me. But yeah, I just kind of was sitting down one day and was thinking and thought collecting would be the thing for me to do because, there's so many different ways to game, so many different genres and experiences to have, and when I get older and have kids, I kind of would want them to experience some new stuff, some old stuff, and just gaming in general. So that's kind of how I got started. So I guess without further ado, we can start over at some of the things that I'm panning through right now. So let me just go ahead and get up. Excuse me while I do that. Alright, nice shot of the red blanket there. Sorry, I'm getting old. Anyway, let's start over here. Another thing I should mention before we get too thick into this is that I'm not going to go through my collection game by game, mainly because I have a lot of them, and that could be an entirely different series of videos. I guess if you want me to go through my collection game by game for everything, I can do that, but you'll have to let me know. Just for the sake of this video, because we have so much to go through, we're just going to go piece by piece, a little bit of information, and just truck on through. So, here, to start, you can see a Sega Genesis. Now, the reason why I started at this end instead of that end is because this is actually the very first system that I owned as a kid. I was about 5 or 6. I don't know how I ended up with it. I just knew I had one, and remember playing some of the games that I have in that box right there. This is not my original Sega Genesis. Like I said, I wasn't allowed to keep any of my old ones. So as I progressed on to the Nintendo 64 and PS2, you know, things like this disappeared in a garage sale. But this was given to me by a girlfriend at the time who was really into the idea of me collecting, and she was gracious enough to find this. And that's kind of how I collect, is through either me personally buying things to add to my collection, or just people being kind enough to help me out. And this is an example of that piece right here. It is a 16-bit Sega Genesis, and there are some of the games. Another thing I want to add before we get too far in is when it comes to, you might be wondering where I managed to find Sega Genesis games or Nintendo 64 games or anything like that. And there is actually a website that is not sponsoring this video, but I am a major fan of them. They are very helpful. It is a website called Luki Games. They are based out of Florida, and they house everything from handheld stuff to the old school consoles, as you can see, and they go all the way up to PS3 and Xbox 360 games, I believe. I don't know if they're going to go any further than that. I certainly hope so, but I don't know. And they basically have every game that you can imagine for a fairly decent price. So like I said, this video is not sponsored by them. I'm just a major fan. So if you're at all interested in collecting or finding some old school games, definitely check them out. So yeah, so that's my Sega Genesis, again, the very first piece of video game and machinery that I ever owned as a kid. Next to that, we have a fairly new system for me, the NES, the SNES, or Super Nintendo Entertainment System, for those of you that don't know what that is. And this is a fairly new system for me, as I said. I got this a couple of months, actually off of eBay, with 5 games, which are there, for about 80 bucks. So it was a pretty good deal. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about that. Next to that, we have a Nintendo 64. Now this is the second video game system I ever owned. I got this after the Sega Genesis. Once again, this is not my original one. When I graduated to a PS2 when that came out, I had to give this away to a cousin, and then my aunt, instead of giving it back to me, sold it. So I never saw it again. But this one's kind of the more prized possession to me, because, you know, I grew up on this thing playing Pokemon Stadium and Donkey Kong 64 and Mario 64 and all that good stuff. So this one is very close to my heart, and this is also a very good example of what I mean by people helping me out. This was given to me by my cousin Sam and his wife Hannah. Shout outs to them if they're watching this. And we were at a family get-together, and I had explained to them that we were talking video games somehow, some way we got on the subject, and I had mentioned to them that I was very interested in collecting, and Sam had told me that he had this. It was just sitting in a garage somewhere. He wasn't using it, and I was more than welcome to it. So I got a handful of games, and a bunch of different, rumble packs and controllers and stuff, for free. So it was a very generous gift, and it's one that I have taken very good care of and cherished very close to my heart. Over here is the system that I had to give my Nintendo up for back in the day. As you can see, it's not the original one, because the original one was a lot better. This is a PS2 Slim, which, as pretty much anyone will tell you, is the bane of every PS2 owner's existence. This is because they are a piece of crap. They're just not built very well. They're very easily broken. I think this one right here is about my third Slim that I've been on. So yeah, I guess if you don't have a PS2, and you've wanted one, or you're thinking about getting one, definitely try and find one of the original fat ones. You'll be a lot better off. So that is the lineup of things over here. Now across the room I have more stuff, but you have to bear with me as I get over there. Over there, as you can see, you might not be able to, I don't know, is a pink alarm clock with an iPod dock. That's not important. But I have an Xbox 360 over there that I've had for a couple of years. That was actually the thing that started my collection, because I was purely a PlayStation guy, primarily. Not necessarily by choice, but as I said, I wasn't allowed to get more than one at a time. And Sony was just what I went with. So the 360 kind of sparked my decision to collect things. Over there on the floor, let me move the chair here, 1 second. Nice red blanket again. Over there is one of the new pieces that I have. It's an Xbox One. I've had it. I got it for my birthday last year, so I've almost had it a year. And as you can see, there's a pretty snazzy skin on it to keep up with the theme of this channel, and basically the theme of me, since my nickname is the Mad Hatter. I don't know, I kind of caved and got a skin for this and a skin for my PS4. I've never really been a skin guy. I really don't understand the point in them, but I saw this and the skin that I have for my PS4, which you'll see in the next video, and kind of caved. And said, you know what, have to. So, that's that. So we have Xbox 360, Xbox One over here. Now, kind of the bulk of my collection. Sorry, I'm still here. Is the gaming shelf of all the disc-based games that I have over here. Like I said, I'm not going to run through them all, because it's just a long day at the office by itself. So the top shelf here, we have 360 games. Middle shelf is PS3 games. This is just a fraction of, well, this is the bulk of it, but I have some more downstairs, as you'll see in the second part. Down below that, you might not be able to see, but down there is the PS2 shelf next to a Guitar Hero guitar that was given to me on loan by a friend because I needed to. There's my other one. And then finally, to round out the disc bass place, I guess, and probably this video is the Xbox One shelf, which they're way back there. There they are. So yeah, I don't have very many for the Xbox One right now, but I haven't had it all that long. Anyway, we're at about 16 minutes of recording time. Not that you care, that's more for me, but you know. So it took us 16 minutes to run through my entire collection. But yeah, I think that I don't think there's anything else that I really wanted to show you. I just have boxes and stuff for all this stuff to go in. So yeah, I think this will conclude part 1, and I'll get part 2 up as soon as I can. So until then, card soldiers, I salute you, and remember, we're all a little mad here. P.S. I just nailed the outro. Who's the boss? That's right, we are.